ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, children, as well as babies, scientists, engineers, charlatans, politicians, clowns, people that obsess about youth game changer cores. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Driveline Academy podcast. I'm your host, Devin Morgan, Director of Baseball at Driveline, founder of the Driveline Academy, and I'm joined in spirit, but not in person, for the last time by my brother, my partner, my co-host, Driveline Academy International Man of Mystery, Driveline Academy Assistant Director, Jeremy Techdeal. Jeremy's back. I can assure everyone that Jeremy did make it back from Europe. He's not in the office today, but he will be back. We're going to do a pod. We're going to get the band back together, I think, on Monday. But because we're trying to get back to the place of consistency with you guys, you're going to suffer through another solo pod with me today. This is going to be like a lightning episode. Not only do I have a meeting I have to get to in about 39 minutes, but also I'm finding myself insufferable to listen to. Perhaps you guys are as well. So we're going to keep this in a little bit brief, and we're going to keep housekeeping brief as well. Axbat.com code DL20 will get you 20% off of the stuff at axbat.com. What do they sell at Axe? Hitting stuff, stick and ball sport enthusiast stuff. Whole bunch of good stuff there, whether it's game bats or training bats. Go to axbat.com. Use code DL20. D is in diamond. L as in lunch. Diamond Lunch 20 will get you 20% off. Up above my left shoulder, you will see that the Skills to Skill Complete Youth Baseball Training Manual. Huge shout out to my brother Ryan Brownlee up at the ABCA, the American Baseball Coaches Association, for the post that he made on socials this week about the Skills to Scale book. I don't know that I would be here without Ryan. Ryan took a chance on me probably almost 4-ish years ago, give me a chance to speak on the youth stage at ABCA and talk about this idea of skills at scale before the book was even out. And it was just the ramblings of a excessively bearded and rapidly balding guy that had coached a little bit of youth baseball for a little bit more than a decade. Again, what I said on socials jokingly was like, is there a way that I can embed this tweet in my headstone? I don't know that my wife would love that idea. But what I will stand behind is just my appreciation for guys like Ryan, for the American Baseball Coaches Association, and just how much it makes my heart full to be able to give back to this community that has given me so much. So the book that Ryan was talking about, Skills to Scale Complete Youth Baseball Training Manual, it's not just the book, it's all the digital resources that come along with it. Practice plans, our complete Skills to Scale Complete game library, our long-term athletic development exercise library, our dynamic warm-up library, hitting drills, throwing drills, macro planning, micro planning in terms of training schedules, practice schedules for teams. It's got everything that I can give you, everything that I've learned, all the mistakes that I've made, and the stuff that I've learned because of the mistakes that I've made is all wrapped up in that book. You should probably go check it out. What else? Power bat speed is good. Your player needs that. $99. You just got to swing it consistently. Bat speed is going to go up. It's informed by the data that we have on more than 700 game bats in our bat fitting database. So you should check that out. The Youth Underload Smash Bat is also a thing that you want to do. $79. You can train the discrete skill of accuracy paired with bat speed. That's why we built it. And I think that's about it. So in the spirit of the lightning episode that I am saying, I'm proclaiming right now that this is going to be short and brief. I will try to make it as impactful as I possibly can. And I feel a little terrible doing this without Jeremy here because I want to talk about one of his favorite guys, which is Joey Votto. Joey Votto retired yesterday. And for anybody that doesn't know, although I suspect if you're listening to a show like this, as nuanced of a topic as this, you probably know a little bit about Joey Votto, one of the best pure hitters of his generation, Canadian dude. Shout out to my folks at Baseball Ontario that are doing a better job of probably anywhere else about managing and tracking youth baseball pitch counts. I'm going to reach out. I want to connect with somebody up there. We want to talk about that more in depth, but I digress. Let's get back to Joey Votto. Joey Votto retired yesterday, and Joey Votto wanted to come back and sign like the one-day deal with the Toronto Blue Jays, and he didn't. And he didn't because he didn't want to do the ceremonial one-day contract thing. He wanted to earn his way back, and just felt like he couldn't get good enough to earn it. So he decided to just wrap it up and be done. And he wrote a post on the old Instagram. I'll just read from it here. Toronto and Canada, I wanted to play in front of you. Sigh. I tried with all my heart to play for my people. I'm just not good anymore. Thank you for all the support during my attempt. Cincinnati, I've only played for you. I love you. Finally, to the MLB fans, you energize me with your cheers. I love the booze, the trash talk, the moments where I broke a Road Cities moment or was humbled on stage. I'll never forget early in my career, my first time at Wrigley Field and the crowd standing and cheering toward my failure. I remember standing at the plate, smiling and thinking, this is my home. I belong here. I was myself in this sport. I was able to be my best self. I played this sport with every last ounce of my body, heart, and mind. Thank you for everything, Joey Votto. And I think there's a couple things that I think are relevant to our topic du jour, which I suppose ostensibly is youth baseball. And I suppose more specifically, it's about helping your child, boy or girl, son, grandchild, nephew, brother, etc., sister, etc., get the most out of this game. And I want to just really laser focus on the perspective of a dude like Joey Votto, who has gotten to the proverbial mountaintop and gone over, and willingly elected to stop playing the game because he knew the truth of how good he was currently and whether that was good enough to compete and perform. And the amount, and first of all, like, wrap your head around the amount of respect and esteem that you must have for the endeavor to do that. And look, I have no business poo-pooing anyone's professional career at the major league level broadly. And I will even extend that to frequent targets of our ire on this show, good old spray tan enthusiast and Smotzy. Jeremy and I have issues with their takes about the game. We have issues with their take on youth baseball because it's oftentimes wildly wrong. But I would never, and I certainly hope that that's never come across. I've never intended to disparage what they achieved because it's just a monumental thing. If you purchase the Skills of Scale Complete Youth Baseball Training Manual book, in the first chapter, you will see some statistics that I compiled about how likely it is for your child to actually play Major League Baseball. Shall we quote from the book? Let's quote from the book. You see, these aren't just like props that hang out in the background. It's really a real book. I'm probably going to have to edit some of this out because I know how captivating it is for you guys to listen to me turn pages. Anyways, here we go. Between when I was born in 1977 and 2004, the birth year of an 18-year-old player taken in the 2022 MLB draft, approximately 8,000 players have made it to the big leagues and played in at least one game. In the same period of time, 98.4 million children were born in the United States and 3.7 billion in the entire world. So, those drafted players represent 0.0002162% of all children born in the world at that same time period. The point that I'm trying to make, and hopefully I'm not muddling it, is you have to have an insane amount of esteem for people that are able to check that box. Joey Votto is one of those people. I think you have to have even more esteem for a guy like that who, having achieved that level of success and performance in their athletic endeavors, has a level of respect for the game such that he's not going to do the ceremonial one-day contract thing. And look, Matt Kemp just recently did that for my Los Angeles Dodgers. I am not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that Kemp was wrong to do that, or anybody was wrong to do that, right? I'm not trying to say that in the slightest, and I want to be abundantly clear about that. However, I do think pertinent to Joey Votto that it's you got to wrap your head around the idea of just how much respect a guy like that has for the game to make that choice. Because Joey Votto could sign a one-day ceremonial contract, and no one would have any rational reason to say that wasn't deserved, that wasn't the thing that guy earned. But he didn't. And I think that there's some signal there. And I want to continue to dig deeper on this statement, right? Specifically the part about the MLB experience, right, relative to the fans. You energize me with your cheers. I love the booze, the trash talk, the moments where I broke a Road Cities moment or was humbled on stage. I don't think enough parents, and I'll include myself in that broad painting with a very broad brush. I don't think enough parents really wrap their heads around the inevitableness of that part of the experience. That you will be humbled on stage. It's implicit to this game. I have told my kids exactly that failure when the lights are on you is something that is part of it. I've also reacted like any other parent when the thing that I try to prepare my children for lands on my doorstep. And I've reacted, like everybody else to one degree or another, I think. I've never tried to fight an umpire. I've never tried to get in a physical altercation with another coach, but it's part of it. And I don't think we spend enough time talking about the inevitable nature, the true in your gut punch that it is not just to fail as the athlete, but to watch your child fail and to truly understand and embrace the inevitable nature of that aspect of the experience. Because if Joey Votto, one of the 0.00026 whatever, he's of that number, if he's talking about that aspect of the experience, how do we not recognize the need for welcoming that aspect of the experience with children? How do we not welcome that aspect of the experience as part of what the game is supposed to teach you? How do we not accept the necessity of that experience? Well, the answer is pretty simple to understand at face value. And again, longtime listeners aware that I'm not a man of many original thoughts or ideas, so I'll just dust this one off from several years ago. My biological imperative as a parent is to try to keep my children safe. These inevitable moments of failure, these times where my child might be humbled on stage, are naturally, I think, received as a threat towards safety. And that's no matter how much coin you put into the belief that like the long-term goal is what's most important, right? And development is what's most important. Man, I talk that stuff until I'm blue in the face, until my mother and my wife and my children probably know my own talking points sometimes better than I know them. And I endeavor to live it the way that I talk about it, man. I want to walk it like I talk it. That was a song in the early 2000s. It was like the trap music Lil Jon era, right? Somebody heat check me on that. Ooh, no, maybe that was Amigos. Anyways, I'm not saying that anyone can be immune to the emotional ramifications of actually having to see that play out, not in abstract, but in real life with your own child. You shouldn't be immune to it. I'm saying that you should. I think you should welcome it. I think you should welcome it with open arms. I think you should understand that those moments, the humbling moments, are the ones that are going to bring your child closer to the truth of how good they want to be and how much they are willing to persist in response. Pusha T, right? What would Meek do? How do you respond? It's one of my favorite Push songs for a reason. Because it's that extreme emotional shrapnel that pushes you to the true point of how you are going to respond. And you might not have the best response at first. And specifically when it comes to both children who might be dealing with this failure in the spotlight for the first time. Parents, it might be the first time that again, that you get a chance to see your child fail. The thing that we both share as parents and children is you don't really know how you're going to respond to that situation in real life, in actuality, until it lands on your doorstep. It's hard to practice. I think if I've done anything to respond to those moments better in the last, let's say for my son as a 15-year-old playing baseball, as opposed to my son as a 10-year-old playing baseball, is I try to be more intentional with my response, and I have my radar up for the non-ideal nature of what could be my initial perspective on how to respond to those types of situations. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that I am better at this than anybody else. I'm saying having a very critical eye towards how I parent, specifically in the game of baseball, has given me opportunities to see the very raw and unvarnished truth of some of my responses to these type of circumstances. And I've found on evaluation, some of my responses were lacking. So I wrote about it. So I do this podcast. So we run the academy. So I try to communicate to more parents that this stuff is inevitable, but you have to accept the ownership of how you respond. That's the job. That's the job for coaches. That's the job for parents. Doesn't mean we're always going to do it right. I certainly have not. But I do think it's contingent upon us to do a better job. And I think it's easier to do that once you wrap your brain around the fact that this stuff it's inevitable. It well and truly is inevitable. Man, again, wrap your head around this. I'll never forget early in my career, my first time at Wrigley Field, and the crowd standing and cheering toward my failure. I remember standing at the plate, smiling and thinking, this is my home. I belong here. You should probably spend some amount of time thinking about the type of human being that could have that type of response to thousands of people willing for you to fail. Think about that type of person Think about a person that chooses that response, and then consider what the car ride home looks like when your kid goes 1 for 4. Consider what the car ride home looks like when your kid gives up a walk-off. Consider what the car ride home looks like when you guys just go down to the field and it isn't a great day of hitting, and there might be a little bit more swing and miss you want. There might be a little more bad batted ball outcome that you want. And your child responds to those things the way that you would expect a child to do. Again, it's 0.000262% of people get a chance to play one game. One game. My son found a baseball card the other day. Ben Gamel, one-time Seattle Mariner. Most recently, a member of the New York Metropolitans, I think. I was like, Dad, who's this? Never heard of this guy. It's like, hey, man, that's Ben Gamel. You might, forget the few months that Ben Gamel had lightning in a bottle playing for the Mariners. Guy has clawed out an 8-year career in the bigs. Can you, and not like a perennial all-star career, right? Not a Wheaties box endorsement type of career. Not a national advertising campaign career. But 8 years. Can you imagine how many moments of failure that guy's had? So we looked it up and we're talking about Ben Camel's career and why this guy's clawed his way into the show. And I think he has a 9.9 something fielding percentage. And in these 8 years in the show, he's had, I think, almost 1,000 chances defensively. And I want to say he had 8 errors. For each one of those errors that Ben Gamel had, if he can't wrap his head around that correctly, if he can't deal with what it means to fail in the spotlight, what do you think that means about the next chance? What does he carry with him into that next fielding opportunity? If he's not present, then the odds that the next opportunity go like the last one, relatively high. If he is living in this last mistake, and that inhibits his ability to be present about the current opportunity, what are the odds that one error spirals into 2, spirals into 3, spirals into 4? Guy's not scratching out an 8-year MLB career. Again, Joey Votto having this moment at Wrigley Field, knowing that there's tens and tens and tens of thousands of people who are actively rooting on him to fail. And he, in that opportunity, doesn't crumple. He doesn't fold. But he says, this is my home. This is where I belong. The point that I'm trying to make is not in any way, shape, or form to suggest that if you help compel this type of response from your child and the player that you're working with, that they are going to go play Major League Baseball. Because again, 0.000262%. Whatever. It's impossible. It's basically impossible. What I'm saying is that inevitably that tool, I think, is the most valuable tool when it comes to giving your player an opportunity to eventually wrap their head around what this entire experience was supposed to mean. Because again, the game comes for everybody. Everybody gets told at a certain point, you can't play anymore. Happens to everybody. What we want kids to do is try to play the game for as long as possible, and then ideally be in the position that Joey Votto put himself into. And Joey Votto did that as a perennial MLB All-Star, one of the best hitters of his generation. I'm saying that same opportunity can be had if you are playing your second year of JUCO ball and you decide that you want to be done. I think that opportunity can be had going into your senior year of high school, knowing that you don't want to make the sacrifices necessary to go play college baseball and that you're okay with being done at the end of this experience. I think it's a perspective that we can cultivate with kids. And I think that perspective is really simple. I did my best. I gave it my all. And through that, no matter what level I reached, I found satisfaction. I found satisfaction with my efforts. I was pleased with my performance. I think we don't spend enough time thinking about the inevitable in youth baseball, which is just that at some point your kid's going to be done. You know, we send them to places like Driveline to try to get the most out of the experience. We buy the tech and the gadgets and all this stuff to try to help them be better. And if the point of all that personal improvement is not to play the game as long as possible and not to try to get close to the truth of how good they can possibly be, then I don't know what it is. But the fact of the matter is that at some point the story ends. Your child will be done with the game. That day is going to come. When it comes, I think it's natural to have a question that's very simple, like, what did we get out of this? Right? Olympics just finished. Man, there's a bunch of people who didn't win gold, right? They've been developing that skill of whatever it is that they've been working on for literal years. Didn't get a medal. You know, and we see people like, you know, you see people holding a bronze and they're super happy about it. And I see people on social chirping it like, I don't know you're happy about the bronze. Like, are you effing serious? Years and years and years of dedication. And you get a bronze, man, you better believe I am cherishing that thing. Doesn't mean anybody's not trying to go for gold. And I fully, wholeheartedly reject this idea that, like, oh, well, the reason that you didn't win a gold is because you're satisfied with getting a bronze. Okay, like, you dim-witted troglodyte. That ain't the point. I think the point is that you need to be less binary about the way that you evaluate this entire experience. I'm going to finish with something that I wrote last night. This is my public reminder to myself. I don't know if I want to put this on the pod. Let's talk about it with the wife. But I wrote something last night, and because my son's 15, and it's it's starting to get more serious. You know, like the college baseball thing is starting to get real. Where it goes from there, you know, is still way in the future. But we're coming up to like a real milestone in the experience. And I had a thought last night of like, what if he doesn't make it? What then? And here's what I wrote. Being present for the journey, no matter its destination, is the entire point. What a privilege it is to be there, to witness someone attempt to be great. That is where the beauty lies. It's being witnessed to someone live at a volume and an intensity that most people never dare to touch. It is living life at its most colorful and robust. And being witness to that kind of journey, especially when it's your own child, is one of life's greatest gifts. So thanks to Joey Votto for putting out what he put out. Not every kid that we touch in youth baseball is going to have an opportunity to have a Joey Votto type of career. I would like to see more of them have a Joey Votto type of perspective at the end of it, no matter at what stage that occurs. And that is the point of today's Lightning Pod. Thank you guys, as per usual, for tolerating me just coming in here and, word dumping and pontificating ad nauseum. Axbat.com, code DL20, Diamond Lunch 20. Get yourself 20% off. Skills Code Complete Youth Baseball Training Manual is in my lap. It's real good. It's 300 some odd pages of me trying to give you literally everything I can to equip you to execute the skill that they need to stay in this game and navigate this change from the small field to the big field. But I'm also, without any reservation, trying to impart some perspective for you about how to think about this experience that you can impart to your own child. They're going to be your kid for a heck of a lot longer than they're going to be your player. If you wrap your head around that and treat your experience in consideration, I think you're much more likely to be able to look back and have fond memories of what this thing meant, no matter where kids get to, as opposed to looking back at it with anything that starts to feel like resentment. That I think that's the outcome I want to avoid. So anyways, sorry for the big emotional dump on you guys. I hope everybody has a great week, great weekend. Dog days of summer are here. Jeremy and I are going to be back in this room next week, getting after it. I can't wait to have my brother back with me. Thank you guys as per usual. DriveLineBaseball.com, all the stuff. I'll catch you later. He is Jeremy, even in absentia. He's Jeremy. I'm Devin. We're down by law. I'll catch you next time. Peace. Bye.